All right. Good evening and welcome, ladies and gents. This is Breaking Kayfabe, episode 2. You'll notice that, unfortunately, my other co-host, Helbert, cannot be here tonight, but our main guest for the evening is, in fact, the one and only Rainz. Welcome, Rainz. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. And you?
Good, good. For those who don't know, Rainz is often seen, rarely heard, in the casting community. Started off in Dota, has stated the ambition to go into CSGO this year, 2017 as it is. But Reigns, let's just get off to the best start here. What basically got you into Dota to start things off? Because that's obviously where you. You're, I think, not inconsiderably skilled. You have obviously we have offers from Masters teams before. So, where did you start for Dota specifically?
Started where Reason was, where Twilight Dota 2 was going on in South Africa. I think it was, what, 20, not 2015, 2005. That's when
Okay.
we started playing, like 6 point, those all-star games where
Yeah.
Ricky had wins and everything. Yeah, that was really fun. And then I just played with a few friends, and then it just got from there. It's like, what, 13 years ago now.
Yeah, long, long time, I think. Yeah, I remember you wrecking us in what was like in-house lands with the Meepo back in the days. So yeah, it was pretty brutal there. And obviously you then transitioned to Dota 2 when that came out. I remember it was around about 2012. I think that you got your key 2012 mid-year 2012.
Yeah, I got the key pretty early. It's like when it came out, maybe for a month. That's when I think Team Dignitas started giving away keys, and then like I was one of the lucky ones to get it.
All right, okay. Yeah, I do remember everybody was begging on the RSC channels back then for keys when it first launched. So it's lucky us to have gotten keys from Dignitas or whichever team was able to give it to us. Yeah, thinking about that. Obviously you and I are well known as friends in the community and all the rest. How did you actually start in the casting? Because that was quite a big jump from player to caster and all the rest.
We started. I think no, I think the playing part, we played the DGL Open Division, and then I think, yeah, I joined this team with friends, and then that got on, and then suddenly I was like, hey, this casting thing was pretty nice. I'm gonna give it a try. So I think you said 2012 was when I got the key. So 2013, a year later, uh, there was a local tournament. It was a one versus one thing, and I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna cover it. Let's see how it goes. And then it, started pretty well, and then it got on from there.
Yeah, well, we all have to start somewhere, I guess, and
Yeah.
1v1 tournaments. I think we've all had our chances there, and hasn't always been the best Dota to watch, but I think it teaches you a lot of tricks and tips on how to fill space, especially. So yeah, you obviously then started 2013 with the Dota, and how was the first year in Dota as a caster specifically? Was it easy? Was it hard? Um, was there lots of infighting? Because obviously there is the reputation that everybody's got a bit of an ego in the industry, and everybody wants their piece of the pie, sort of thing.
I guess I started off for fun, so I wasn't really, concerned about being good or bad or anything. But
Mm.
I think because after playing Dota for so many years, everything was natural. Like, what happens next, what they should have done, or how the lanes are going. Especially playing or casting the one versus ones, it's much easier because you're focusing on one lane and only two players. But compared to a full game of Dota 2, yeah, it was actually much more difficult, to answer your question, and just get along with it. And that's why I feel it's so important to get a co-caster with you, especially for someone that understands the game more than you, and
Yeah,
just basically an analyst still sitting next to me, like covering all the spots that I've been missing. And
yeah,
yeah, I think,
filling in the holes mostly.
yeah, basically, yeah.
All right. Obviously you became fairly well known in Dota. Obviously, you made it to, I think it was DGC 2014 was the first year you would have been active as a caster at the big event of the year. How was DGC 2014? I remember Nav TV had a lot of banners at the end of every row and all the rest, and the casters were on full view. How was that actual event? A lot of
Yeah.
teams have said it can be pretty rough for 3 days, but for a caster, how is it?
Um, Okay, I'm going to compare it to 2013, where I was just a spectator, and that's where I think they relied on Congo, Knoxville, and somebody else. I can't really remember who. And then they had to cast every single game, and I thought that must be so tiring. But 2014 came. It wasn't only me. A few other casters started to cast some local games as well, and they, with me, reached to DGC 2014. So we had a few sets of booths there, and I was placed with Clitty Bananas, Tristan, and he made it really easy for me.
Yeah.
At I think I was late or something because I had to drive from Bloem to Joburg, and he was there setting up OBS. He did all the scenes, and everything was ready. So by the time I got there, all he told me was to push one to change from one scene to the other. And I'm like, okay, that's all I need to do, right? Besides casting. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And game one starts, and then everything was so nice. Like I'm the main caster. I say my things, and then here he comes in with his Premier League division knowledge just to like save me here and there, and it worked out pretty nicely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Klitzy Bananas, pretty good analyst. Unfortunately, obviously, became busy with I think real life and never able to continue the casting. But it was, it's a name I think that some of the older guys will remember. Maybe some of the new guys won't. But yeah, I mean, it did actually win DGC with was it BVD? I think the year before. So quite a name, quite a blast from the past there, bringing out his name.
Energy, Lex,
Yeah,
with his, and I think Odoo was probably no, Odoo was in BVD, but
yeah.
yeah, it was, and then like everybody switched and changed teams from there.
Mm. So I mean, after 2014, I mean, what did you end up doing? Because obviously you became a little bit more inactive 2015. You obviously did make DGC again later on that year, but 2015 seemed to be very like almost a period where we had a lot of the new casters coming in, and you in particular became a little bit more inactive. What was the reasons behind that? And how did you deal with like a lot of the newer competition coming in?
I started 2015 in end of January is when XTC's Blue Cat called me up and say we should play together and play support for his team. So I got along with that. I think Deppy was in the team and two other guys I don't really remember who. And we started off pretty average. And
Yeah,
also I think that lasted maybe 2 months, and that's where especially Blue Cat and Deppy got into bigger teams. I think Deppy played with Energy,
mm,
like the end of the year as well. So yeah, great for him. And now he's in XTC. But I think I've been casting, just not regularly. Like especially if there are tournaments, I'd be there. But I think, yeah, the schedules for the GL leagues are, like pretty strict. I think like maybe we needed to cast on a Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and probably busy in the weekdays, so it was a bit difficult for me.
all right, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I mean, as I said, you did eventually make it to do DGC 2015, where we had that run from White Rabbit Gaming, and you did make it. They obviously didn't cost as many games as I think you would have liked,
Uh,
but yeah,
no, it was I think it was one set of casters, and it was rotation between me, you, Vinks, and Knoxville
yeah, I believe so. I
people.
think it was like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then we probably had like backups, but I don't know if they costed other games or not.
yeah,
And it's basically one set of casters rotating the whole time. I think Knoxville main casted most of the games,
yeah.
and yeah, we basically had to be his analysts by switching around between us three. So yeah, I think maybe I costed 3 games in total, but yeah, that's about it. But it was
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, like obviously DGC doesn't have that many games, and streams are obviously difficult to organize. So if you weren't on the main stream, then it just seemed like you weren't even there at times. But yeah, so I mean, otherwise, what have your achievements been as a caster? I mean, we'll get into the more recent stuff, but as a caster, like, what are the biggest events that you've done, or what's been the most fun event for you overall?
The funnest events is definitely DGC 2016, the one with Paul Challoner,
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah, I think where that's where not only me but most casters got the chances to cast at DGC, and also more opportunities to switch around. I think they placed some of us. I was an analyst myself at the panel,
Yeah.
and really fun. I wouldn't mind doing this again for both Dota 2 and CS:GO. I find it interesting. I find predicting games interesting, and also talking about different players. Having more time to speak about players is also quite nice, especially in the local scene, because they
Mm.
don't get this as much as international scene, where they expose the players more or the teams even.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was really really fun. Like spending 10 to 15 minutes with Wilson on the panel, and then we get to sit back and hear you and Devin talk about the game as well while you guys are casting. So yeah, that was definitely one of the highlights of my casting career.
Yeah, I was obviously well, it became, I think it was DGC and then it became Masters 2016, obviously. Yeah, I mean that was a pretty big event. You guys were obviously, as you said, you were on the panel. I remember we still had that stupid little pen pineapple joke that everybody.
Not
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I suppose that's one of the things, and that brings me to my next point. Actually, is that as a caster, particularly a play-by-play caster, like what do you use to almost fill the gaps? Do you think up something funny on the fly, or like what would you say are your strengths in terms of specifically filling space there?
um, I guess I have to compare myself to someone like Toby One. Obviously, not as great as him, but the way I talk about things, I wouldn't say I think of something funny on the fly. I would focus more on the game, and then I would try to make space for the analyst or the
Yeah,
co-commentator to answer my questions that I would like the audience to know. Like, for example, um, why this draft? For example, like maybe BVD picks up an Ember Spirit while leaving Castaway to pick up a Tinker or something. And then I would make time for the analyst to speak 2, 3 minutes, maybe, in detail. Why is it like that? Why he thinks it's like that? And once it gets into the game, and once it works out before BVD, it's all worth it. It's just nice for the audience to listen to. So play by play, not necessarily taking over the mic, as in shouting when there are fights and everything, but also trying to make the audience understand and have fun.
yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose that's the best thing. Is like I think it was Lord Rushford, Gareth Woods, that once said, the thing is, this industry is basically entertainment. Is that if you're not having fun, then nothing seems good. It's like you have to be having fun in order to project that in to the fans and all the rest. So I mean, following on from that, like what do you think are your biggest strengths as a caster then?
I would say the experience of playing Dota for a couple of years. I mean, not necessarily me, but whoever wants to start casting, if you have a proper background of the understanding of the game, you can start casting. If you should actually give it a try, especially for the guys that are quite good at the game, but they want to do something related to esports. I recommend starting like something like that, because I played Dota, as I said, for 13 years now, and I know like kind of every aspect of the game. So casting about it is definitely my strength.
No, I mean, like, well, what is your specific strength in actual casting? Like, would you say that you're great at getting words out on the fly, making funny jokes, being able to pick up on small things that are happening in the game? Like, what would you say are your biggest strengths as a caster?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, but I must say it's, yeah, probably. I think the mm, wow. Okay, wait, that doesn't make sense. I'm getting the answer in my head, but it doesn't make sense. But yeah, definitely. I think just saying words on the go, as you said, on the fly. Just talk about the game. There's no awkward silences. I hope there aren't. And then also, just having fun with my co-caster. And then in the end, everybody enjoys the game.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, obviously, talking about you mentioned BVD and Ian, and someone like Klitzy Bananas. Like, I know you were a specific fan of Klitzy as a player. I mean, who else are your favorite players to watch, or your favorite teams to watch from the South African perspective?
You mean this year? Or
Well, ever.
definitely BVD, maybe, yeah, last year. BVD last year was a hexically strong team. Like they've proven it by going overseas as well. But in the end, falling to WRG, doesn't make them necessarily like second best team. I mean, I think individually skilled, like they're there, but disbanding afterwards is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, BVD is definitely awesome to watch. They go overseas, they play him, and actually cause trouble to other countries and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, so BVD 2016, you'd say, is your favorite team.
if I remember correctly, yeah. But there are obviously teams that suddenly come up. Do you remember Noob? Noob was
Well, that's White Rabbit Gaming now, yeah.
time.
WRG, yeah.
Yeah, I think with different mids and everything, but with Raping Ninja still there, if I remember correctly.
Whelp, yeah. No,
Was he not there?
no, he was back in I think the old days, IFG days. He was part of that team. The like the old school original Noob. I think he was part of that team, and then if I can remember correctly, he went to BVD Blue. No,
For
he went to BVD Black because he won DGC 2015 with Black, and then he left and went inactive, and then came back for White Rabbit Gaming just before last year's 2016.
Yeah, so it wasn't him. It was some, I don't know, some all-star team that somehow made it really, really far in like 2 years. It was just quite nice to watch. But there are a few good teams, especially, um, yeah, I mentioned BVD already. I mentioned Noob. There's yeah, like individual players. I like Odu's support. He's really, really good. Castaway, probably like everybody loves Castaway's mid. Really, really strong right now. And then I think Flair's to me still one of the top carries, even though he's not playing anymore.
Yeah. I mean, Flares is always one of those players that like you never really knew what he was doing. It was like sort of like, is he into Dota this year or is he not? Because when he seemed motivated, he seemed like an absolute beast. But when he wasn't motivated, didn't seem like quite the same player. I think.
Yeah, ups and downs.
Mm, ups and downs. So I mean, what's the funniest moment that you've ever had in casting then? Because obviously you've been able to do a lot of the games over the best part of 3 years now, and you've obviously seen some funny games. Like what's the funniest game you've ever had to cast, or the funniest moment in a game that you've ever had to cast?
Wow, there are so many games. I just remember one specifically,
Yeah,
IFG. I think Modest was playing a Spirit Breaker.
yeah,
And then, when you do your nonchalant charges, and then you press S by mistake. I don't know if it was by mistake or not, but yeah, getting stuck in the trees in very important times. It's pretty when you're watching it, but
yeah.
it's one of the things that I remember right now.
All right, so I mean, obviously, I think Modest that might have been was it the start of last year? No, I mean you said IFG, so that would have been 2015. And then obviously Modest became what is now Carbon, but used to be BVD Blues. So, going with that line of thinking there, 2016 obviously again lots more tournaments in the South African scene. We saw a lot of the smaller tournaments coming out, and then DGC at the end of the year. I mean, you said it yourself that you worked there as an analyst. A bit of a change up, obviously.
Mhm.
Was it difficult transitioning away from being a pure caster to being on the panel for those 50 minutes at a time?
Um, Actually, no. I kind of enjoyed becoming an analyst during a tournament as well. Last year it was nice. I think if things go well, I could move towards an analyst position as well in casting. I don't think I would have a problem with that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, then looking ahead, obviously you have mentioned that you want to go into to CS:GO sometime in the near future.
Yeah.
And with 2017, there are now hundreds more. Well, I wouldn't say hundreds, but certainly quite a few more events coming, both on the Dota and the CS:GO side. So, what are your actual plans for the end of what does Rainz want to achieve by the end of 2017 then?
Firstly, get my stream up, get fiber, so I can actually start going to cast CS:GO. Because I haven't casted CS:GO before, but I believe that with the casting knowledge that I already have with me for like 3 years, 4 years now, I could adapt into the game pretty easily, knowing that I can play it already.
Yeah.
So it's. I hope it's not going to be as difficult. With achievements, obviously, I am going to try to cast at CS:GO events and then Dota events at different times. But when, let's say, Masters come again and CS:GO, Dota 2 have to collide together, I guess I would go back to Dota 2 because it's where my passion started. It's where I enjoyed it the most. Saying that I haven't casted CS:GO before, but yeah, Dota 2 definitely my main game.
Oh, Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, well, that's gonna round things up, guys. This was Rainz, and you are watching Breaking Kayfabe. Thanks very much.
Cheers.